location was on the back and it had black, I could throw that in there. So as soon as I finished my stack, I could grab that cart, and because I've already got it all set up, and then just start running that. So that's the only way, but every single artwork, especially if it's going to have an under, has to be set up all over again.
Polishes, and you're like, oh man, I like that nail polish. You know? And so now you got to go from square one. So then you've got to figure out how to fix it, which is what's great for.
So some places see how fine and crisp that detail is. I put this on a higher mesh. I think it's like on a 280 or 288. So fine details like this, where someone wants something to look weathered or really used, and people feel like you have to have things on billboards for them to be great. You know, I mean, there's great artists out there that had no names, you know, and now you see their art and you're like, man, this guy, they thought this guy was a no one, you know, and look at what this guy was doing the whole time, you know, which is wild to me. And I think photography is so neat because you kind of have to have eye for it, right? Like there's a kind of lighting and a kind of angle that you have to be able to do it just right, you know. But learning. I know, it's always learning. That's one thing that I always tell these girls whenever we're doing something or figuring out something, and ask me how I know not to do that thing because I probably did it, and because I had to learn how not to do it, you know. There's an area down there like a lint trap that you don't want lint to build up, you know, because lint is bad and it starts fires, especially around heat. So we try to take that open down there and pull the lint out. So I mean, if regular maintaining of these machines, you should never have an issue. But if you're pushing something past what it's meant to do, that's when you'll start having a problem. But I feel like Workforce has done a really great job with doing what it says. Workforce. You know, I'm like, what do you put on a workforce? You know. M&R. That's the other one. That's I completely forgot. But M&R is another big auto that really works well. Yeah.
And the lint problem is a uniquely Southwest thing.
Oh.
I had a tech come out from the coast, and he's like, I've never seen so much dust in my life. And I'm like, it's the desert for you. We're just built here.
Yeah.
And most of this equipment was developed in coast cities. So a lot of it was developed for places where the humidity is 40 to 60% all the time. So coming out here where the humidity is like 5%. That's a unique problem for us, but
yeah,
the industry's
after a long day of printing a couple thousand shirts, thousands, especially black shirts, I'll blow my nose at the end of the day, and I'm like, ew, that's in my lungs. Yeah, so it's a pretty fun thing to do. I feel like this has been so rewarding for me, and it really gave me a trade. It's very much blue collar, which I think that there's so much value in the trades, and I wish that there was more of the trades happening because we need a lot of it. And the thing that's so neat, especially with like graphics and stuff, there's so many online classes that they offer that are great for the future that they didn't have when I was younger, you know. But yeah, this is something that I started, you know, 10 plus years ago, and I started catching shirts. So you always have to start somewhere, you know.
Did you learn most of it on the job?
all of it on the job. I first started in embroidery is where I first started. I'm a seamstress, so I got into embroidery, learned how to do embroidery, but I loved art since I was a little kid. And lo and behold, the shop that I started working at had screen printing, and I'm like, whoa! I remember doing screen printing in high school. I learned the old school way where you stretch your own screens, and this is something that if you guys ever decide to try something like this at home, just go buy some like polyester. You can buy the kind of polyester that you see in your grandma's house. That's the lining of her curtains. Go buy some of that. You can use that stuff, and you can buy stencils, buy cardstock or anything like that. Try this at home. You can draw an image, but draw the reverse image, because I learned the hard way. I think I was doing a picture of like Homer Simpson and it came out the reverse of what it should have been. And that's your biggest problem in screen printing, is lint and glue. It just goes everywhere. And I know Derek has a problem with the lint all the time. I used to print on like metals and different types of substrates. And you print something, the dust falls and it lands, and you look at it, and as soon as it's cured, you got lint stuck inside of all of the ink. So dust and lint, it doesn't become too big of a problem, but when you're running these automatic machines like this, if you don't oil and you don't grease, it's like a car, right? You don't put oil in your car, you don't put those coolants and the things that it needs, it will start to seize up. So I do always make myself a note whenever I've done a long run. The more lint I've got in the air, the more lint I've got building up inside of my machine, which means that I want to keep it nice and well oiled in the inside. There are certain things, the thing that's nice is because this has a compressor line, after it has so much buildup, usually in the mornings when I turn it on and all my lines start filling up everywhere, this has an automatic release. So it'll go and it'll let out all of any condensation that's built up, because that's important with compressors, right? If you don't release the pressure, all the condensation starts to turn into rust. When it turns into rust, over time it starts to weaken the metal, and all of those can be very dangerous if you don't take care of those things. But yeah, so usually that is not on an automatic by itself. The heads are pretty well maintained in themselves. There's not specific things that I need to do. How often does Chris come in? Maybe once a year?
Maybe once a year.
Yeah, there's a maintenance van that we have for Workhorse, which is the brand of this. There's different types of brands like that.
Like with your little stencil, like so you had to like put one color on one side and one color on the other and do it like that.
For like gradient.
Yeah.
If you wanted to do like a rainbow, you could certainly do that. So let's say that you made your own screen and you laid your stencil on top of it. Bear in mind you want your stencil to be fairly as thin as possible. You can do this with like masking tape and all kinds of different things like that. Look it up on YouTube. There's great videos for makeshift printing at home. But the higher off it is from your garment, the less detail. The closer it is to your garment, the more detail you're going to have. If you were trying to do like a rainbow effect and you just wanted to do it in one pull, the more pulls your ink will start mixing. So let's say I've got my screen, I've got my stencil on, and I'm going to put red, white, and blue, and I got a little flag. With the pull of my squeegee, it will push through and mix those colors together. The more you push it and layer it through, then it'll start blending those colors together. There are some types of printing that people do like that, especially in manual printing. I think one time I did like a tie-dye and someone wanted like sort of a swirl, so I ended up having to figure out a pattern to put my ink on the screen and to pull my squeegee with pressure in a certain manner, and then when you lift it up, it gave like a swirl effect of the streaks of the color. So that is something that you can do manually too. Auto, you can't do something like that because it's back.
You can get a gradient if you use multiple screens too and have tones in the image instead of a solid image. They're like,
Little dots.
little dots, yeah, exactly. So you could lay down like green, blue, and purple, and have it blend together in the areas where the dots are further apart.
Yeah, and that's what layering is what she's talking about. So that wouldn't be a one screen. That would be, one screen, one color, the next screen slightly overlapping that a little bit so that they lay on top of each other, and then another screen with another color. So that's how you would get a gradient from, without like a manual press or anything like that, if you were just setting it up. Cool, is there any more questions?